called me and he said, बच्चन साहब फिर से बुला रहे चलिए जाते काम करते. And then I did Teen, and then after that I told you how it happened, and then I met Joy and Kani 2 happened, and then फिर से बच्चन साहब आगे बदला. So I was like यार मतलब ऐसे ये लोग को मिलता अपॉर्चुनिटी यार. 3 project
your portfolio has 3 projects with Amitabh sir.
Yeah, and it was just surreal, you know, because one is to see Mr. Bachchan on screen and then to meet him in person and then, you know, to interact with him on a daily basis and see him perform. And yaar, wo aadmi sorry hai. Like, it's like magic just watching him. Like the minute the camera is on, it's just, you can't look anywhere else. Matlab, wo is so captivating as a human being. His persona, his presence, and I've just been really lucky to have so many opportunities to.
Hello, welcome to Cinewall, where we unveil people behind the wall of cinema. Joining us today is debutant director Shome Makhija. His latest crime thriller movie Blind is streaming now on Jio Cinema, starring Sonam Kapoor Ahuja, Purab Kohli and Vinay Pathak. We discuss the creation of Blind, its behind the scenes, Shome's journey in films, his debutant film, and his exciting recommendations around movies and web series. I hope you like it. Hi Shome, welcome. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for inviting me on this. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. How are you? You said you're a 3 days old filmmaker. How are you?
I'm a 3-day-old filmmaker. I mean, technically, I'm a 3-day-old filmmaker only because the release happened on Friday. But I said, film to ban ke, मतलब काफी time हो गया film बना के, तो you know it's been quite a long journey leading up to this day. But finally, मतलब film आ गई तो सबको देखने मिल रहा है. So it's good. It's मतलब अभी तक वो I think पूरा अभी तक process नहीं हुआ उसका कि film बन के रिलीज हुआ है, लोगों ने देखा है, मैसेजेस आ रहे हैं, कॉल्स आ रहे हैं बहुत सारे लोगों का. A lot of people have liked the film. It feels nice. It's still मतलब वो एक थोड़ा I think एक मोमेंट चाहिए प्रोसेस करने के लिए कि मतलब पिक्चर बने. बिकॉज जब शुरू किया था तो यही एस्पिरेशन था ना कि कभी ना कभी जाके पिक्चर बनाएंगे और बनाते जाएंगे. एंड फाइनली वो it's reached that stage where first one has come out and you know I'm very happy with how the film is shaped up. Everybody was worked on it is very happy.
I can sense the butterflies you might have. Like आपको जो उत्सुकता है, मतलब एक एक्साइटमेंट रहती है कि रिलीज होने वाली है on your from your answer. And I understand वो अभी भी बैठेगा नहीं because it is just released, so I wish like in coming days आपको और answers मिलेंगे उसके. But हाँ, I want to like I read somewhere that this film was being made like in 2021 में ही बन गया था, तो
जी
तो वो 2 साल आपके लिए कैसा रहा?
बहुत ही स्ट्रेसफुल. बट नहीं, एक्चुअली द थिंग इज नो हम लोग का फिल्म एक बार ग्रीन लाइट हो गया था तो वी स्टार्टेड प्रेप एंड ऑल दैट. एंड आल्सो कोविड हिट एट दैट टाइम, तो हम लोग ऐसे वी हैड अ लॉट ऑफ डिलेस बिकॉज ऑफ दैट. ऑफ कोर्स द प्लस साइड इज कि मेरे को ज्यादा टाइम मिल गया प्रेप करने के. तो मतलब हर फिल्म मेकर का यही होता है कि जितना प्रेप मिले उतना अच्छा है, तो और बेहतरीन फिल्म बना सकते हैं. और फिर शूट भी मतलब हम लोग का शूट का प्लान हुआ था, फिर एक बार पुश हुआ बिकॉज वापस से रिस्ट्रिक्शंस आ गए थे. और हमने तो फिल्म पूरी फिल्म हमने स्कॉटलैंड में शूट की. तो इनफैक्ट हम लोग जिस दिन से शूट स्टार्ट करना था 27 दिसंबर 2020, 26 दिसंबर को पूरा स्कॉटलैंड लॉकडाउन में चला. एंड वी वर टोल्ड दैट इट्स एंटायर लॉकडाउन, बट फॉर्चुनेटली द गवर्नमेंट वाज वेरी सपोर्टिव एंड दे सेड कि आपको शूट हम लोग रुकेंगे नहीं, आप शूट कर लो. But obviously there were certain rules we had to follow. Stay in a group, stay together, ज़्यादा फैलना नहीं, you know, don't go out too much, don't stay within your bubble. At that time it was called. But they didn't restrict us from shooting. We were allowed to shoot wherever, and it also worked in our favor a little bit क्योंकि उस फिल्म का भी हम लोग का एक अप्रोच था कि हमको थोड़ा eerie type feeling create करना है, थोड़ा like you know to make it feel very isolated, very lonely. तो कोविड के चक्कर में ऑलरेडी वैसा ही था. तो हम लोग के लिए तो वो बहुत बड़ा एडवांटेज था क्योंकि रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थोड़े बहुत थे, ज़्यादा नहीं थे. तो वी वर एबल टू डू ऑलमोस्ट एवरीथिंग दैट वी वांटेड टू. एंड एट द सेम टाइम वी हैड द एडवांटेज ऑफ मूविंग अराउंड फ्रीली. वी वर अलाउड टू शूट ऑन द रोड्स, लोकेशंस में भी बस वो सैनिटाइजेशन ये वो जो प्रोटोकॉल्स थे वो फॉलो करने थे. बट अदर देन दैट मतलब काफ़ी आई थिंक इट वाज अ गुड थिंग. नहीं तो ना वो इतना रोड ब्लॉक करो फिर इधर से लोग को हटाओ क्योंकि खाली लगना चाहिए, तो वो सब तो हम लोग करना नहीं पड़ता.
And plus it I guess it works well for the thriller part in thriller movies because the focus of the viewer has to be on the character ki what is Jia feeling plus the killer's sense saying plus Jia kahan pe kya sense kar rahe, the brother, the policeman. So in a way, if I put myself into your shoes, that works well कि हाँ बाजू में कोई जाएगा ही नहीं. It's just the sense is working well. आपका ये डेब्यू था ना? So
हाँ,
so tell me कैसे डेब्यू है बेसिकली था तो नहीं.
हाँ डेब्यू है,
डेब्यू है, yes.
डेब्यू है.
हाँ. So how did that come up?
So I spent I think about 4 or 5 years working with Sujoy Ghosh, who is one of my favorite filmmakers, and I was very lucky to have had a chance to meet him through another film. I was working as an associate with another director called Ribhu Dasgupta on a film called Teen,
Yes.
which was produced by Sujoy, and we met on that and we interacted a lot, and I think somewhere we felt like there was a similar sensibility. We talk a lot about films and the kind of films that I want to make, the kind of films that he makes. Kahani is still one of my favorite thriller films.
Same.
And it's undebatable at this point. I think it's the kind of success it had, and still people are talking about the film.
Yes.
And right after Teen, Sujoy was setting up to do Kahani too. So I was like, "Hey, sir, मैं आ रहा हूँ आपके साथ काम करने, आपके पास option नहीं है, काम करेंगे साथ में." So I think that also, and that kind of worked out because Teen खत्म होते ही कहानी 2 की prep और ये सब शुरू हुई थी. So I got pulled into that. Also, I worked with Vidya Balan on Teen. So even we built a very good rapport on that. So it kind of worked out. And then एक बार मतलब एक film सुजॉय के साथ करने के बाद ना मैं बोल दिया कि सर मैं अब छोड़ूंगा, because he is like one of the best people to work with. He's a great human being. I mean, he's so collaborative. He listens, he talks, he'll discuss, he takes everyone's opinion very seriously. Of course, being the director, you have to know when to listen and when not to listen. But
Yeah.
he was never like, "Nee, I know what I'm doing. Don't tell me." If you give him suggestions, either he would justify his point of view, and if he can't, then he would listen to you, because he'd be like, "Okay, that's a fair point. I'll take it because I don't have a counter argument for that." And then because we spent a couple of years together, कहानी 2 किया था, फिर बदला पे भी उसके साथ काम किया था. Even Typewriter, he did a series for Netflix. So in fact, बदला के time पे he had just one day randomly came up to me and said, एक Korean film है, watch it and tell me what you think. At that time, he didn't tell me anything. So I said, ठीक है. So I went, I watched the film, I came back, I told him I think it's a really interesting story and it's a really well-made film. थोड़ा obviously India के लिए थोड़े बहुत changes करने पड़े also. The original film was 2011. So technology, advancements, all of that. So certain aspects changed. So I gave him my thoughts on the film. And he said, okay. And then he was setting up to do Typewriter with Netflix, which was a series.
Yeah.
I was very excited about working on Typewriter with him and all that. And then he called me one day to a coffee shop and he said, "Listen, I don't want you to work on Typewriter." And he just turned around and said, "No, because I want you to direct a film for me." And I was like, yeah. And then he said, "You remember Blind?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, okay, that. Will you write a draft and tell me how you want to adapt it and how you want to change it and how you want to make it relevant to an Indian audience?" And I mean, that's pretty much what happened. And then I said, "Okay, I'll start writing." And then I started doing work on the script. I gave him a draft. He was quite happy with it. We, of course, went back and forth on a few things that, there were, because there was initially, we were in a toss-up between, do we want to do the film in India or do we want to do it outside of India? Calcutta was an option because, again, very familiar territory. We know the city inside out. I had also worked on Teen and Kahani 2, both of which were set in Calcutta. And we talked about it a few times, and then we figured that, for me, I think the primary reason to set it in the UK, I think because as a country, it's slightly more disability friendly, in the sense that here I've lived in Mumbai all my life, and I don't think I've ever seen a visually impaired person walking with a guide dog on the streets.
Yeah.
I don't think that concept of a guide dog exists to that extent in this country. I mean, I'm sure I've obviously not seen everything, but I've never seen it. So for me, that was like, yaar, ye main justify karna thoda difficult ho jayega. And also, there's a lot of small things like, in like, for example, in the UK, when you're for crossing a signal also, there are buttons you press, there's braille on all of that, there's a texture on the floor that
Yes.
you know that you're at the edge of the road. यहाँ पे अगर दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है और रोड क्रॉस करना हो तो थोड़ा
Yeah, you have to wait
देख
for
के हम लोग नहीं कर पाते ना.
you have to wait for भैया कोई help कर दो. Yes.
You know, it's not, so it would have changed a lot of how we approach the film. But I think we all just unanimously agreed that UK might work better given the kind of subject we're dealing with and the kind of character we're dealing with. And also, we had just shot Badla in Scotland, in Glasgow.
Yeah.
And the visuals were really nice and the locations we had found were really nice. So for me, it just fit very well. I saw it feeling much better. I also felt that we could do a little more, give a slightly different look to the film, because not a lot has been shot in Glasgow with the kind of, you know, to show Glasgow as much as we have in the film. Like Badla also, essentially, कहानी तो एक रूम के अंदर थी, primarily, right? थोड़ा बाहर था, and then the major part of the story was set in the hill station in Avonmore, which was about 4-5 hours from Scotland. So we hadn't really explored Glasgow as a city. So we thought it might be interesting, and because there was a familiarity and you know, it all just came together like that. It just felt like the right place to do the film. And I think also the kind of look that we were able to achieve there, I mean, of course, we would have got something equally stunning in India, because, I mean, India also has beautiful locations if you really, you know, go out and look for them. But I think also because of the handicapped aspect of, I mean, the disability aspect of the character, I think that also was kind of one of the reasons why we felt going to Scotland or going anywhere in the UK would have
fair enough.
Slightly better.
And I want to know, like, what's your take on remakes? Not as a filmmaker, as a viewer, how do you enjoy remakes? If you know, if you have already seen the film or you have not seen the film. मैं अपना take बताऊंगा, पर आप पहले अपना बता.
Yeah, I honestly ना मेरे को ऐसा कुछ problem तो नहीं है. My thing is that I don't mind it. I think that when you make a remake, if it's done well, and if you're able to adapt it to the setting in which you're creating that story, I think it can be just as enjoyable as you know, as the original film, or maybe even better, maybe not. I mean, you know, because of course the advantages are that you have a template to work off. तो एक आपको पता है कि ये कहानी ऐसी है, उन्होंने इस तरीके से कहानी बताई है. अब उसमें obviously there is a certain responsibility towards the original, because if you're buying the rights and doing an adaptation, पे पूरा कहानी बदल के कुछ मतलब नहीं है ना, फिर तो rights खरीदना ही क्यों है, फिर पता की पिक्चर बनाओ. And I think, like, see, even with, I think even when Sujoy did Badla, ये बदला भी तो एक Spanish film की remake, but he was able to adapt it in a way where it fit much better with the Indian audience, right? Because उसने वो पूरा एक रामायण महाभारत वाली एक एंगल डाली थी उसमें, डायलॉग्स में, to connect the whole Draupadi ka story and all of that. So I think if you have an interesting take on it, and you can offer maybe some amount of originality even in a remake, I don't see why not.
So this was like, ये आपने as a film director बोला, as a viewer बोला?
No, as both. No, because even as a viewer, if I'm like, obviously I worked on Badla, so there was a slight bias towards that. But had I not worked on the film, I would have still wanted to watch it, because it was an interesting story. I had seen the original. So for me, I know what the film is about. I know what the story is about. So the curiosity in, okay, what have we done different? How have we adapted it to India? How is that same story working in a setting that's Indian? So I think that there is a lot of intrigue in it, in a sense. I mean, of course, you know, this was a lot more, it made a lot more sense, I think, before the pandemic hit, before the influx of, you know, content on OTT, because initially people didn't have that kind of access to Korean films or any other language films, right? Spanish films, Korean films. Of course, now, because everybody is watching everything, it becomes a little more difficult. I mean, it also kind of, like, if you've seen the original, it could work both ways, right? A lot of people will be like, "Arey, kahani to dekh liya na, abhi matlab dobara kyun dekh?" Unless when you see the trailer, like, "Acha, ye kuch alag take hai, interesting hai, dekhte." So that, I think, if it all depends on how you approach it. Like, if a trailer is exciting enough, I think, even if it's been done before, why not? I mean, I would still watch it out of curiosity to see what they've done.
So I have a similar take as a viewer. So मेरे लिए when I got into the business, my take improved, evolved, not changed much. It was more on the line that through remakes of certain films or certain stories, I got to know about that movie or that industry of movies. कि मतलब कोरियन में ऐसा है या स्पेनिश फिल्म में ऐसा है, जो शायद अभी अनुराग कश्यप का भी दोबारा वाज जस्ट रिलीज, वो भी एक रीमेक काइंड ऑफ था जो उन्होंने कोई फिल्म फेस्टिवल में देखा था. तो मेरे लिए वो एक वैसा लाइक द एविड बफ, इट वर्क्स इन अ वे दैट हाँ यस बिजनेस वे में फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस पीओवी द डायरेक्टर हैज टू इंडियनाइज इट, वरना यहाँ पे आप हम समझेंगे ही नहीं कि क्या कहना चाहते हैं. तो दैट वर्क्स वेल. बी, if you really care about the original, you see the original and then you discover an entire new world. But when you got the first like kind of a work that आपको remake करना है, so how does the process look like from your end कि मुझे इसको Indianize करना है या इसको मैं इंडिया में कैसे बनाऊंगा? So does that ease down the process for you कि from as compared to an original work?
See, हाँ, obviously, because देखो यहाँ पे तो एटलीस्ट एक कहानी का टेम्पलेट है. So I know that basic storyline मेरे पास already है. अभी उसमें also, because like I said, in an adaptation, you have a responsibility towards the original to some extent. मतलब मैं पूरा कहानी तो नहीं बना सकता.
Yeah.
So then it becomes about, okay, this is the story that they have said. This is the same story that I want to tell. But what are the elements that I can add, or what are the elements that I need to remove to make it connect with an Indian audience? Like the one thing that we did specifically in this film was that we added a few more layers to the mother-daughter relationship, because emotion is a big thing in this country, especially, the family and relationships. So there I felt, because even in the original, there's a very interesting relationship between the stepmother, the foster parent, the lady running the orphanage and the girl. Here I felt we maybe needed to push that a little more. Yeah. Give a little more of a layer to that story, because माँ बेटी का है ना, मतलब वो चाहिए, मतलब वो एक इमोशन भी चाहिए फिल्म, and it gives that struggle. And then also I feel like religion plays a big part in our country, in terms of belief system and all of that. Now, although in Blind the religion we picked is Christianity, primarily because it's set in Glasgow, and like if it was in India, it probably would have been different. Yeah. But because it was in Scotland, but just the faith in God. For us, God. In India, God is. Everybody believes in God. Everyone has a certain belief, their own relationship. Yeah. So I think that just to show the belief, it's not about which God you're praying for, which religion you've chosen, but just faith. Eventually it's about that. It's your faith in what you believe in, whether it's God or even just humanity, not even a specific a religion or anything like that. So I think that was something that we also felt we needed to kind of push, which is why we played a whole angle of her starting off not having given up her faith in God because of the things that she has been through and because of what happened with her brother in the beginning. Yeah. And then how she starts to rediscover her faith along the way because of the way the story pans out.
For Blind, I could say, yes, the mother-daughter thing came up, but more than that, the elder sister, younger brother thing highlighted a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, like even without, like it was a very subtle layered thing, but you just get a feel that, okay, Sonam Kapoor is a proper elder sister on the first scene, because it is shared in that way only, but that remained to the last moment until the Pope thing came up. So,
and that's the guilt that was really tying her down throughout, right? So
that was really well done. Like वो यहाँ तक एंड तक वो मेरे दिमाग में रहा कि ये रिलेशनशिप पे जो मैंने ओरिजिनल मतलब मैं कोरियन वाला अभी तक देखा नहीं है, तो इट वाज अ वेरी फ्रेश थ्रिलर टेक फॉर मी. बट वो जो जिस तरीके से एंड एज आई सेड अर्लियर, मेरे लिए अभी अब वो देखना है, उस टाइप की मूवी देखना एक ओपन गेटवे हो गया टू दैट इंडस्ट्री. आई कुड रिकमेंड दैट और डिस्कवर दैट. तो या फिल्म है सर्टेन क्या कहते हैं कलर पैलेट which reminds me of many British shows or a proper Scotland Yard theme कि हाँ तम एक subtle dark plus grayish eerie जो आपने word ही use कर लिया स्टार्ट में रखा है. So how did you plan that out? How was the creation of it?
Yeah, again there I think when I'm a big fan of the whole Netflix superhero universe, like the Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, Iron Fist, all of that. And I wanted to try and create something that had that kind of a feel. I mean, of course, they do what they do, we do what we do, but because we were setting it in the UK, we also wanted to kind of use the city for what it is. And I always had this thing that I wanted to look very noir, very, neon, have the lights, have all of that, and to pay respect to my inspiration of, the different places that it's come from. So I sat with my my DOP, Gaurik Sarkar, who, I mean, he and I work very closely together. He shot typewriter. He also kind of, he is usually my bouncing board for scripts because he also writes. Um, so we kind of, I don't know, I think we both just aligned on that right in the beginning that this is the approach we want to take and this is how we want the film to look. And in fact, the first ever reference picture that I showed him was a comic book sketch of Jessica Jones from the graphic novel. The color palette and everything and the design and all of that. And, honestly, when I look at the film today, I'm like, we've been able to achieve what we set out to achieve because we've been able to create that visual
100%.
that was our reference right from the start. But it's all him. I mean, he's unbelievable. Yeah.
The visuals hook you from the start itself. From the moment the blindness part comes from, there's a beep and then blind and then it reopen. वहाँ से जो visuals आपको पकड़ ले, because before that there's a song and the feud between brother and sister wala. But after that blind part, the visuals just keep you as a one good sequence in that part. Really like it. So when your thriller has mainly three pillars, like yes, fourth in terms of foster mother, but the three people that it revolves around is Purab Kohli, Sonam Kapoor, and police inspectors for now. Vinay Pathak sir, yes. My bad.
And the dog.
And the dog, yes. So डॉग का तो मैं कास्टिंग पूछ नहीं सकता, वो आपने पहले बोल दिया. मुझे कास्टिंग के बारे में जानना था. व्हेन यू गो ऑन अ वेरी 3-person रोल कि हाँ इन तीनों पे ही पूरा रिवॉल्व करना है, दैट ईच हैज टू कैरी ऑन शोल्डर. सोनम कपूर एज अ मेन, उनको पूरा संभालना है, बट अदर टू हैज टू सपोर्ट इट एंड ऑल. सो हाउ डज दैट डिस्कशन गो ऑन फ्रॉम अ डेब्यू डायरेक्टर्स पीओवी एंड हाउ डज दैट फाइनलाइजेशन हैपेंस कि ऐसे कैरेक्टर को इसमें ये कैरेक्टर देना है?
यार, thing is, fortunately for me, Sujoy had put a lot of faith in me and he was very, he's like, see, this is your film. मैं ज़्यादा interfere नहीं करूँगा क्योंकि बाद में कुछ हो गया तो तू मेरे को गाली दे. So it's like, तू बना रहा है, तेरा responsibility है.
Ownership.
So obviously, when you cast lead actors, there is also a concern of, studio and, feasibility, viability, how much money you need, how much you get, all of that. And I think when we spoke about it right in the beginning, we were just talking about who do you think would make a great GR? And while you just talking about it, I just said, what about Sona? And for me, it was mainly because I think she has a lot of potential. I think she's a great actress. I think, she's done some really good work in the past as well. And it's just that I felt like also I've never seen her do something like this before. So just the idea of exploring something new and so different with her was very exciting for me. And he said, yeah, why not? I mean, he said, if you think she works, I think she works. Let's go meet her and talk to her. And we met her, we spoke to her, and she got really excited about, again, for her also was something, she's never played a visually impaired person before. So for her, it was also something new to explore. And we all just, I think, synced in that first meeting and got excited about it. And even with Purab, when I suggested Purab was when he was shooting for Bob Biswas, and Purab has a small part in that, a cameo in that, and he was great in that cameo. I was there that day they were shooting that scene and he was just so good. And I have known Purab for a very, very long time. In fact, Purab was the person who got me my first job in the industry. So, there was always this thing of, at some point, I want to work with you in the future when I'm directing, and I was like, this is a great opportunity because I had loved what Purab had done back in 2006 in Awara Par, where he had played this negative character, and I thought it was really interesting. And, after that, he had done a lot of Rock On and My Brother Nikhil and all of these very slice of life, happy, fun, lively characters. So I thought, let's explore his dark side. Why not? Let's people love Purab Poli, the VJ, people love Purab Poli, Kipe Pure, Rock On, all that. So I was like, let's put him in a light where people hate him.
Yeah.
Just because we can, and let him explore that that avenue of acting, and and see what we can do with that. And he also, obviously for him also, he got really excited about playing a character like that, and he was very intrigued with the script. And I believe he watched the original when I told him, and we talked about it, and I told him, look, this is how I'm treating the character, these are the things I want to do. And he was just very excited about the whole thing. And again, to collaborate with me, even that we've known each other for so long, with Sujoy being there, Sonam being there, it just all happened. It's like literally we went to one person and it clicked, it worked out. Yeah. And even with Vinay, I think, Vinay also was the kind of role it was. We wanted somebody who would give us a little bit of a comic relief also. And Vinay is great with comedy, but also he's a phenomenal actor. And for me as a first time filmmaker, to get a cast like that was like a dream come true. Not everybody gets an opportunity like that. And
वही से मेरा सवाल आया, वही थॉट से मेरा क्वेश्चन आया था.
और वही ना, मैंने सुजॉय को भी पूछा कि यार विनय पाठक पूछ ले क्या, ट्राई तो कर सकते ना. तो he said, हाँ क्यों नहीं, of course. So then he initially spoke to Vinay, and Vinay said, yeah, sure, I'd love to read the script. And I met Vinay and I asked him, I said, sir, would you like to watch the original just to see where we've come from? He said, तू कोरियन पिक्चर बना रहा है क्या? तो I said, नहीं, मैं हिंदी पिक्चर बना रहा हूँ. तो हिंदी वाला स्क्रिप्ट है ना, मैं वो पढ़ता हूँ. So I was like, ये भी तो point है. He's saying, I don't want to see what other people have done in this road. Let me read it with a fresh mind and let me play it the way I want to play it. And he also really liked it. He had a few points, he said certain things where he felt like, I feel we can do a little more here, we can add something here. And when somebody like Vinay Pathak gives you an idea, 9 or 10 times it's golden. The one time it might be silver, but it's still great.
You follow.
So
you just follow.
Yeah. And even there, even with him, like there was a lot of times where we would do a certain scene and then he would come and tell me, he's like, मैं ये try करो क्या? I said, हाँ, करके देखो. And I think every time he tried something, to try to improvise something, all of that stayed in the film because it just added another layer to his character. It just made it more fun, more lovable. Because also, I mean, I don't want to give out too much about the film because there might be people who haven't seen it yet, but it works, like, because he's the kind of character you want to fall in love with because he's so much fun and he's so lively and he's goofy, but he's also doing, he's also helping this girl. So he's a very strong supporting element in this film. Like without him, it wouldn't have, I mean, the story wouldn't play out. Right?
Yeah. He's an important pillar. वो एक important हिस्सा है. वो मतलब ट्रेलर में मेरे हिसाब से होना भी चाहिए. मतलब मेरा टेक है कि वो अगर 3 लोगों में ही चल रहा है, एक किया, एक पकड़ेगा, एक हेल्प करेगा, सारथी बनेगा, तो that thing has to revolve accordingly. And Sonam was a revelation in the start itself. जैसे वो जो first scene आता है where accident happens and she comes out on that blind part, that hooks you, that put me in my sofa कि नहीं अब बैठ जाओ आप. मतलब क्योंकि OTT has made that thing that आप घूमते रहे, मतलब you keep doing things around and see the movie कि हाँ चल रहा है. From the time that happens, because I didn't go through the trailer way कि trailer देख के गया मैं, I just went through some few tweets and then it started because आपने हाँ बोल दिया था, बोला आपने बोला भी था कि हो सके तो देखना, बोला that's the homework I have to do. So हाँ, that part comes and kind of it उनका एक comeback हो गया ना सोनम कपूर का, मतलब
I mean, because unfortunately COVID वोट के चक्कर में जो delay हुआ है, तो वो उसका between her last film and this film the gap became slightly longer, so it started seeming like that. I mean, but technically उतना time था नहीं बीच में, but अभी वो
एक तरीके से
बनते हाँ, so it wasn't intended as a comeback film because she was doing films non-stop. तो वो एक COVID के चक्कर में ऐसे comeback वाला feeling लग रहा है उसका. Got delayed and it took that much longer.
मेरा बस एक ही क्या कहते हैं कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म, अगर आप एज अ डायरेक्टर हाँ मतलब आप बोलोगे, मतलब कब से था द राइटिंग पार्ट, द डायलॉग पार्ट मेनली, क्योंकि दैट एज अ व्यूअर डिडंट होल्ड मी अप अंटिल द लास्ट पार्ट. स्टार्टिंग में ले लिया पर बीच बीच में जो डायलॉग बहुत ही ज़्यादा इंडियनाइज्ड हिंदी, that subtle Mumbai, मतलब if I gave कि the textbook psychology or entire dialogue ना कर दो तुम वगैरह that from एक example है वो, but the dialogue part couldn't hold me up. Visuals were एकदम जो आपने बोला इंस्पिरेशन वाला
Right,
एक्ट लाइक
right.
द कैरेक्टर आर्क वाज गोइंग अप बस डायलॉग मेरे से कनेक्ट नहीं हुए थे मेरा मतलब हाँ
नहीं नहीं, यार सर देखो पहली फिल्म बनाई है तो
हाँ मैं इसलिए
सब चीज तो
कंस्ट्रक्टिव
परफेक्ट
क्रिटिसिज्म में लिया
कोई
या
क्वेश्चन।
आप क्रिटिसिज्म हैंडल कैसे करते हो?
I'm very happy to hear it because the thing is I feel like see with every film that you make, every project you do, there's a learning experience from that. Right? Like so if somebody tells me 10 negative things about the film, I mean of course I know why I have done certain things in the film. But like now, for example, you are telling me that certain places the dialogues were weak, they were not holding. I take that as a very, I mean, I take it in a very good way because for me, then I know that that's something I need to put a little more effort in my next film and make sure that you don't feel that. Because if you're feeling it, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other people that are also feeling
Would feel it, yeah.
So it's just about learning from because see, I mean, at the end of the day, वो भी making films हो, मैं खुद के लिए तो नहीं बना, मतलब मैं फिर तो कोई पैसा देगा नहीं ना, बोलेगा तो खुद का पैसा पिक्चर बना घर पे बैठ के देख, जब हम लोग बना रहे दुनिया के, so everybody's opinion has value, like no matter what it is.
But don't you think this is from Wall's perspective that I have? We have a lot of film creators on platform, on our social community, and each and everyone has a different opinion around films, right? Yeah. Certain are very bold and they just upright, बुरा, अच्छा, that's it, black and white, कहीं बीच में constructive कुछ नहीं. Certain are नुक्स निकाल के वाले. And as a filmmaker, you should be getting like thousands of it because online, social media. You can't pause the noise. So how do you
लोग टाइप करके भेज देंगे उसके बाद
वो बस लिख देंगे कि क्या है ये, मतलब बुरा हो तो क्या घटिया है, अच्छा है तो भाई सवाल
बहुत बार भी खड़ा था.
हाँ, तो do you take social media critics into opinion? मतलब ये जो फिल्म रिव्यूज आता है यूट्यूब पे या ट्विटर पे या रेडिट पे या कहीं भी?
Sir, I take everything very seriously because I tell you, for me, it's that even see a lot of people will tell you that यार वो अगर एक क्रिटिक ने बुरा लिख दिया तो वो उसका ओपिनियन, because वो तो एक that's one person's opinion right now, but also that one person is in a position to influence a whole lot of other people who read reviews and then decide whether they want to watch a film or not. And I think look, they also have a responsibility to report honestly to what their feeling is. So if they don't like the film, they don't like it. वो अभी मतलब ऐसी खुश रखने के लिए तो तारीफ नहीं करेंगे. और तो for me it's about taking everything but also knowing what to listen to, what not to listen to, because again at the end of the day मैं अभी imagine if 5 people tell me that यार फिल्म मेरे को स्लो लगी, तो उसका मतलब नहीं कि मेरा अगला पिक्चर फास्ट पेस हो, because it all depends on what the story requires. Like we chose specifically to have a certain kind of pacing for this film because we are dealing with a visually impaired person. It's not because I wanted it to be slow, eerie. Had she not been visually impaired, the pace of the film would have been different.
Yeah.
I was following the pace of the protagonist. I can't make a visually impaired person function at twice the speed because it will not look authentic. It will compromise on the performance. So I think it's taking into account everybody's feedback is important, but knowing how much to let it influence your decisions is the hard part. Because also, I mean, like you said, you know, OTT में आप घर पे बैठे हो रिमोट हाथ में, तो बटन दबाने को टाइम नहीं लगता है. So I think it's important also to see how people are reacting to it, to understand where people are feeling the film is fallen short, where they are feeling it has worked. So it just gives you a slightly better understanding of people's opinions. Eventually, I have to do what I feel works best for the story. And that's where I have to trust in my own conviction and my team's conviction. Because we are the people that are making the film. Because कल को मैं जाके नहीं बोल नहीं सकता ना कि यार अरे तुम लोग ने ऐसे बोला तुम्हारे ऐसे बोला. गाली तो मुझे
वैलिडेशन नहीं मांग सकते. गॉट इट.
अभी तो रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मेरे को लेना पड़ेगा. तो I have to know where to listen, where not to listen, and where I'm confident in what I'm doing, I have to stand my ground and be like, no, this is how I want to do it. I'm okay. If I get galis for this, I'll take it. But then at least I know it's my fault. ये तो कल को जाके अगर समझो सुजॉय ने फिल्म देखे बोला कि यार ये 4-5 चीज चेंज कर ले, अगर मैं सुन लेता और फिर गाली मिली होती तो फिर मैं सुजॉय को बोलता कि देखो आपने बोला चेंज करने के लिए मैं गाली. So this way because even when he saw the edit of the film, he said, see, I like it. I think you've done a great job. I have some points, which is my opinion. Now you see whether it makes sense to you or not. If you agree with it, You change it. If you don't agree with it, you don't change. And he's Sujoy. He's a very intelligent human being. He's been making films for a long time. He knows his storytelling inside out. So
Yeah.
most of the time when he gives a suggestion, it's a very valid suggestion. You know, वो ऐसे हवा में कुछ भी नहीं बोलेगा. So I think even there, but he always let me make the decision because he's like, तेरा नाम जा रहा है. It's going to say directed by you. So you can, I don't want you to feel like, oh, but yeah, I listened to Sujoy, now this has happened. But fortunately, I mean, again, we both, I think, were more or less on the same page with pretty much everything because we were also very aligned on the script.
Yeah.
उसके बाद तो जो बना शूट पे भी मतलब सुजॉय था बट वो आके ऐसे दो मिनट देख के चले जाता है, बोलता तू कर ले, मैं जाके मेरा और दूसरा काम है, दूसरा काम होगा. So he also, I think, realized in the first 2 days only that I am very clear about what we are trying to do, and so is the rest of the team. We were all on the same page, so he didn't feel like I need to be here, I need to make sure, I need to do, and all of us, like even with Pura, with Idesa, with Sona, we all just, I think we were all so aligned on what we were doing. We did the best that we could.
Yeah. The final product is good only. So I could end it on that part. I as the time goes, you will find the answer. You will find the reactions to it. Better nice. आपका feeling of first film भी हो जाएगा. But
Of course.
yeah, I'll ask about your journey now in a way that मैं बस वो question frame कर रहा हूँ. मुझे बस इतना ही पूछना है कि आप फिल्मों में आए कैसे? आपका फिल्मों के साथ क्या रिश्ता है?
No, very interesting question. So I initially, like while growing up and all, I didn't have a lot of exposure to Hindi films because my parents were not big on movies. मतलब वो लोग देखते थे, but they used to watch more English movies and all because South Bombay के थे ना तब, तो cool वाले लोग थे, तो how English picture देखेंगे. But obviously as a kid, you know, a lot of times you watch things coming on TV, cable में जो picture आते थे, तो I had seen it. I was very fascinated by the world of movies. That you know, you have the ability to tell a story to the world, and मैं कुछ भी लिख सकता हूँ. As long as I can convincingly show it, I can tell as many stories as I want. And if you ask any of my friends, they tell you that I'm somebody who was always telling stories and never stopped talking. So you know, it was for me, it was just something that I was very intrigued. I used to, and when I used to watch films, I used to really get involved in it, and I would really just sit and be like, अरे यार ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है, अरे उसने इतना आसानी से ये कैसे किया, वो कैसे किया, and I keep thinking about these kind of things. And then when I after college, I mean not after junior college, I did a 3-year course in mass media, and there also I found myself like you know, we had a lot of presentations and things to do in that course, and I have major stage fright. मैं ऐसे 4 लोगों के सामने बात नहीं कर पाता. तो for me आज एक यार मतलब 50 लोग के सामने प्रेजेंटेशन देना मेरे से नहीं होगा, मैं तो ऐसे कांपने लग जाऊँ. So I got into the habit of shooting him. पर I was like, मैं शूट करेगा तो अकेला है ना, किसी के सामने कुछ करना नहीं, फिर प्ले करके मुंह छुपा दूंगा पीछे बैठ के. So I started shooting things, and then you know, we used to try every time to try something different, find unique ideas to make something look different. Like even if it's as basic as a economics presentation, उसमें भी कुछ कहानी बना के कर कि अच्छा ये बोर्ड मीटिंग हो रहा है, बोर्ड मीटिंग में ऐसा हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, तो वो हम लोग शूट करते थे. So I think in that the interest in making films developed even more. And then as soon as I finished college, I was like, अभी industry में काम कर. I need to get a job. I'll start assisting and all that. And I knew Purab because we used to go to the same gym, and my dad was friends with him. So I just generally told him that I'm looking to work in films, and he had just finished Our Up One, and Vishesh Films was setting up a new film called Jannat with Kunal Deshmukh, his first film. So he said, I know Kunal, and maybe I can talk to him. You can go and intern on the film. And I went and I met Kunal, and he said, yeah, you want to come intern? Come intern. And during the course of that film, थोड़ा मतलब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी बढ़ गया, थोड़ा और इम्पोर्टेंस मिल गया. पहले तो बॉम्बे और केप टाउन में शूट होने वाली थी, तो मेरे को शुरुआत में बोला था कि यार देख, बॉम्बे का शूट में तू रह सकता है, केप टाउन में हम लोग नहीं लेके जा सकते, बिकॉज we'll only take the first, second and third. We can't take more than that. So I said, no, that's fine. For me, it's a first job. But I think by the time we finished the first schedule, I think we just built a kind of a rapport where he was like, no, I think, you know, you're doing well. I want you to come, I want to promote you to third AD, go an intern, and you come with us to Cape Town. So on my first film only, I got to go to Cape Town and work with Imran Hashmi and, you know, with the Bhatt camp and sit in script readings with Mahesh Bhatt, and it was such a great learning experience. And then once you're in it, then you're in it, right? उसके बाद फिर थोड़ा एडवर्टाइजिंग में भी ट्राई किया, असिस्ट करना थोड़ा, जस्ट टू एक्सप्लोर दैट वर्ल्ड आल्सो. सो आई यूज्ड टू असिस्ट ऑन एड्स एंड ऑल दैट. फिर उसके बाद अगेन देयर वाज अ फिल्म Zocom One that was done with Disney long back with Darshi playing a superhero back in 2008. I think we shot that film. So there also I got a job as a third AD, started working. फिर धीरे धीरे करके मतलब then I met Ripu Das Gupta. He was making his first film called Michael with Nasir Saab, which was back in the day. It was released, in fact, much later, unfortunately, because it was a small film. It took a little time to come together. But him and I again built a great connection, and you know, we were working well together. So then I stuck with him. We did Michael, and then after Michael, he signed a show with Mr. Bachchan called Youth for Sony. That was before web series, before all that. It was a 20-episode limited series for Sony. And Anurag Kashyap was the creative producer on that, creative director on that. So obviously, मेरे को जैसे ही उसने फोन करके बोला कि यार बच्चन साहब के साथ शो बनाना है, I said हाँ, इसके आगे मेरे को सुनना ही नहीं है, मतलब बच्चन साहब के साथ काम करने मिल रहा तो सवाल नहीं पूछना है आपको, पहुंच जाएंगे काम पे.
Yeah.
And then we did that show. I mean, that was 20 episodes. तो वो मतलब almost एक साल चला, उसका मतलब prep, shoot, everything. And then immediately after that, I think about 6 months after that, he signed Teen. And he called me and he said, बच्चन साहब फिर से बुला रहे, चलिए जाते काम करते. And then I did Teen, and then after that I told you how it happened. And then I met Sujoy, and Kahani 2 happened, and then फिर से बच्चन साहब आगे बदला में. So I was like, यार मतलब ऐसे ये लोग को मिलता है opportunity, यार 3 project.
Your portfolio has 3 projects with Amitabh sir.
Yeah, and it was just surreal, you know, because one is to see Mr. Bachchan on screen, and then to meet him in person, and then, you know, to interact with him on a daily basis and see him perform. And yaar, wo aadmi sorry hai. Like, it's like magic just watching him. Like the minute the camera is on, he's just, you can't look anywhere else. Matlab, wo is so captivating as a human being. His persona, his presence, and I just been really lucky to have so many opportunities to work with.
Yeah.
That's it. And then Blind, I told you how it happened.
Yeah. And if people who are listening to this, I guess there are a lot of people right now, won't say struggling, but figuring out their life in this film entertainment world in Mumbai, in Chennai, in Bangalore, anywhere in a different film industry. Can you share how कोई AD का रोल कैसे, मतलब AD कैसे बन सकता है? How can someone find a role as an assistant director? What's the process? क्या आना चाहिए वगैरह?
Honestly, it's not. I mean, see, if you're working as an intern, usually people are a lot more open to it because also then the cost implication is less, especially if it's a shoot within India. Because जैसे international shoot हो गया तो फिर वो इतने लोगों को लेना आएंगे, उसको मिलना आएंगे. But there are, I mean, see, again, I am not very active on social media. मैं Instagram में भी अभी आया हूँ क्योंकि पिक्चर बन रही थी तो आना पड़ा. But there are a lot of communities on Facebook for assistant directors where they're always looking for ADs and all of that. I think it's just about trying to find that one opportunity where you get to even go and intern, because at the end of the day, if you're interning on a film, it's not costing the producer any money or a very little amount of money. Like they'll pay you a stipend, whatever, so that you're not spending money to work on the job.
Yeah.
And after that, the minute you get that job, after that, it is entirely up to you how much effort you put, how hard you work, how committed you are, because people will see that. Like,
what value you provide.
I started off as an intern, and in that one job, I was able to convince them that I'm capable of taking on more responsibilities, which is why I got bumped up to a third AD. I got a lot more responsibility. And then it's just, the minute you find out, there was a time when I was just reaching out to anybody and everybody I knew, saying that, yeah, listen, I've just finished this film. I'm looking for another job as third, second, whatever it is. Let's meet, let's talk. And it happened because then, also the word spreads, right? Like, so if tomorrow I go and ask somebody for a job, they'll call up the first AD on the previous film. Kia tera third AD tha, kaisa tha? Recommendations come like that. And if people say good things about you and if you've been good at what you're doing, then it just happens. And eventually then getting a break is all on your
abilities,
hard work. And, I mean, either you have to have one of the best scripts in the world, or you have to have somebody who believes in your talent. Like I didn't have the best script in the world. I didn't have a script. But Sujoy felt at that point that, yeah, this guy's ready to make a film. And I want to support that because, I've seen him with me and he's been so good. Yeah. And I think he's ready to take on that responsibility, and which is how he came about to offer me Blind. And and even today, like he is still very proud. I mean, he's very proud of the film, and he's very happy with what we've been able to create. And he said that I would love to do more films with you, and let's find something to do in the near future. Let's make another film together. So it's that, but it's
And what आपको मतलब लोगों को क्या आना चाहिए? Basic things you should know when you apply, even think about applying for a role of AD. Like क्या सीखना चाहिए? Basics.
I mean, to understand to what, I mean, see, I never knew what an AD's job is when I started working. For me, it was like, जो बोला वो करना. मतलब it's as simple as that. कि उन लोगों को पता है क्या करना है, मैं करते करते सीखूंगा.
Yeah.
But I'm saying like now, obviously, there's access to so much more information. There are so many places where you can learn. There are videos on YouTube where you can go and just understand the process of making a film, how it happens. We have access to behind the scenes, to making of movies, all these things, which just makes you so much more aware. Of course, there are a bunch of courses that you can do, filmmaking courses and all that. I never went into that because at that time, I don't know. It didn't strike me. I mean, because at that time, I managed to get a job. So I was like, okay, ठीक है, मैं जो सीखना है मैं सेट पे जाके
Practical.
because a lot of times also courses, matlab, there's also a cost implication to spend on the course. Also, they teach you fundamentals. Now, if you go to New York and you go to LA and you go to these international schools, you'll understand a lot of the fundamentals of filmmaking, but our process of making a film is not necessarily exactly how they do it there. The systems are slightly different, the culture is different, the way we work is different. So eventually you are going to learn on the job. But if you know the basics of just how a film is made, which you can read, there's enough material available online. And that also helps because when you go in for an interview and you sound like somebody who may not have any experience, but you have an understanding, that also helps, right? Because if tomorrow I'm hiring an intern who comes and tells me that, oh, listen, I've done this course or I've read, I know this, I know that. And it's just by the way you talk to a person, you know how passionate they are and how excited they are about. It's not even about how much they've done. It's about how keen they are to learn and where they want to go with this.
Drive and curiosity, I guess.
Yeah. And there are people who do, like, there's a first AD who I have worked with in the past when I was an associate. She also at one point realized that, there is not enough information out there for people wanting to get into the industry. So she had hosted Zoom classes where she would basically just, get a group of people and just discuss filmmaking and talk to them about what it means to be an AD, what are the responsibilities of an AD, what do you do? Because obviously with every designation, the responsibilities change.
Yeah.
I mean, from an intern, you're following orders. From a first AD, you're running the show. I mean, there are points when you're telling the director that, listen, this is how much time you have. This is how much time we have to finish this. Because you have a responsibility to the producer to say like, okay, these are the 4 scenes we're shooting today. You have to make sure the director finishes those 4 scenes. And not by telling him, jaldi shoot karo, but by making sure that he has got everything he needs to shoot.
Yeah.
Because कल को जाके बोलेगा कि हाँ मैं ready है, but अरे वो prop तो आया ही नहीं. So that's on me, right? Because I have to give him everything he needs. Then I can put pressure. Saying कि सर अभी मैंने आपको सब दे दिया, अभी आप shoot.
अब आप पे. हाँ.
So I'm saying it's a very gradual process. It all depends on how fast you learn. You could jump from a first AD from an intern to a second AD or a first AD in 2 projects or in 10 projects, depending on your abilities and the way you adapt and the way you pick up and how well you handle those kind of situations. Because essentially, an AD's job is planning and disaster management.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't sound harsh, but that's what it is. Because either half the time, if the disasters are caused by you, then you have to know how to manage it. If it's caused by somebody else, also you have to know.
Yeah. Firefighter.
But the problem solving, literally. So it's not rocket science here, but it's not as complicated as people make it to seem. Once you've done one film, you'd understand the workings of it. And then it's about how much responsibility you're able to take and how much pressure you're able to handle, because it is a high stress job.
Yeah.
It's not easy. You're shooting 12, 14 hours a day. फिर उसके बाद आके prep करो, फिर अगले दिन का planning करो, फिर उसके 4 घंटे सोने मिलेंगे. So, but again, it's for that period of the shoot. उसके बाद तुम जाके 2 महीना आराम करो. कोई नहीं बोल रहा है. Then you take up your next job. So you have the opportunities, the opportunity to learn only as much as you want. Because there are a lot of times you see interns on set who just stand in the background and do what they are told. But there's no initiative.
Yeah.
The initiative is important. Like,
ownership नहीं होती काम
you have to find your own learning opportunity. Yeah.
God. Nice. I have been in that race कि मुझे कहीं काम मिल जाए 2 to 3 years back, so I could now relate. But then COVID happened. Yeah, so no worries.
Then COVID happened and nobody had.
Yeah, I made just short films and all. कोई ना. मेरा एक फैन बॉय सवाल है, because you said you worked on जन्नत. क्या आप वो सीन में थे जहाँ पे इमरान हाशमी ने गाड़ी रोक के प्रपोज किया?
भाई वो सीन में मैं उस पहले वाले सीन.
अच्छा, क्योंकि that scene broke. Even on I was in school, even on cycles, like school level people went rogue with that music plus BGM plus everything. So
no, that was a
मेरा
great movement.
yeah,
No, that was also, for me, it was first film, and I mean, Mahesh Bhatt is also a legend when it comes to writing and directing and all that, and to be able to sit with him on script sessions and hear him talk about films and talk about how to approach a scene, how to approach a character motivations, things like that. I mean, obviously, when Kunal was so well read, he had also assisted for so long. Like, he also was fully on top of it. Like, he knew exactly what he wanted to make. But when legend speaks, you must listen.
Yeah.
How well prepped you are, because you never know where it comes from. And in fact, WhatsApp was the person who said, he's like, I remember this very clearly. He once told me that he said, you should never dismiss anybody's opinion. He said, because tomorrow you could be on a set and one of the spot boys might come up to you and tell you, कि यार sir, इसमें ना ऐसा कुछ मजा नहीं आ रहा. And he said, that's your audience. So he's saying you might not do what he says, but don't disregard what he's saying, because he might give you $1 million idea that you never thought of.
Yeah.
Because you're too caught up in, because also you get so invested in the process at one point that it's very hard to look at it objectively. Like, even today when I watch Blind again, even now, there is a bias, right? There are certain things. I know what went into the making of every scene. I know my motivation behind shooting every scene. I know what we were trying to achieve with every scene. But when other people look at it, they are looking at it from a completely objective point of view. So they don't have any attachment to anything.
Yeah.
तो उन लोगों को अगर कुछ अच्छा नहीं लगा, तो मेरे को जैसे अगर कुछ ऐसे लगा, मेरे को ना, बट हम लोग -13 डिग्रीज में सीन शूट किया, हम लोग ने ये किया, हम लोग ने वो किया. बट फॉर द अदर पीपल इट्स लाइक, हाँ, ये पिक्चर में बना, ये सीन मेरे को अच्छा नहीं लगा, इसमें ये ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था. सो it's all I think it's all part of the bigger picture. It's all part of the learning. I mean, with every film you learn new things and you keep doing better and better. You evolve as a filmmaker. You understand, you're more capable of taking decisions. You have a better understanding of public perception, of how critics are reacting, how the industry is reacting. What could you have done different? What could you have done to maybe get this slightly better? Like, if people are saying, okay, this is lacking in the film, is there something that I could have done to not have that opinion? Or is this how it had to be and I'm accepting that as a person's opinion? So I think those are things that just come with experience and time and listening.
I relate. I relate to this, because I have my opinions always keep popping in my head. My hands, I have to stop myself कि नहीं, ये लिखना नहीं है अब. At least now I feel that I might DM or email or got like luckily if they come, like मैंने मेरे को आपको बोलना था डायलॉग का, मैंने आपको बोल दिया इस टाइप का, अगर सामने आ जाएंगे तो उनको बोलूंगा ही, पर ऐसा
बोलना चाहिए ना. You are entitled to an opinion as a viewer who's consuming the film. You are entitled to an opinion. Nobody can take that away from you. The question is, now that you told me, now it's about how whether I agree or whether I don't agree. If I don't agree with you, I will still respect your opinion, because I mean, again, like I said, we are making films for you guys. It's not for us. मेरे को कुछ मिलने नहीं वाला ना. So it's if you all appreciate the film, if the audience appreciates the film, then that gives me an opportunity to make another film for you. If you all don't, then it becomes that much harder.
Yes.
Convince भी करना पड़ता है कि यार लोगों को पहला पिक्चर पसंद है, second to do.
Yeah.
So it's also that, right? Like, so you need to, I think, just like I said, you just need to listen to people and you need to try and just better yourself with everything. And that's what it is.
Got it. And my last segment is your recommendations. I want to know, I just have a few fast questions on movies, films जो भी आपने हो. And I just have a few questions. So आपको बस आपको movies के नाम से ही आंसर करना है, और आपको explain करना हो तो आप कर सकते हो. It's about, like, what was the first film that you ever watched, if you remember?
First film that I ever watched. the first film that I remember watching very clearly was Thriller.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mumbai. Yeah, you are out and out from Mumbai, right?
Yeah. And this was something we had put on cable randomly, and it started watching, and it was just like I put it on, I started watching, and I couldn't stop.
And
It was so fascinating the way.
Yeah. And what was the last film you watched, like recently? Ekdam last.
Blind.
नहीं एडिटर्स रूम की बात नहीं कर
Blind. नहीं एडिटर्स रूम नहीं, मैंने जियो पे भी देखा यार.
अच्छा
देखना चाहिए ना
एक व्यू
प्लेटफॉर्म में. हाँ, एक व्यू मेरे तरफ से भी आना चाहिए. But just before that, I think the last film that I saw was Hindi film. You asked.
any
Suddenly now you asked me this question, I don't remember. I think I saw last night. I watched a film on Netflix called Fantasy Island.
okay.
It's only there till July 11th, so if anybody wants to watch it.
Okay. What kind of films do you want to create as a director? What's your vision of films or web series or in cinema, basically?
I'm a big fan of David Fincher.
Oh,
yeah. I think.
yeah.
So that's the kind of world that appeals to me. I really like thrillers, but if I'm being completely honest, I think I'm very, very, very keen to do a love story. I'm also a big fan of love stories, and like Notting Hill is by far my favorite film, favorite love story ever. So I think that, I mean, while I think I have a slightly better hand at thrillers and stuff like that, but I think again, at the end of the day, it's storytelling, and it's your conviction in what to do. I don't think that anyone should limit themselves to a particular genre of filmmaking, because if you can tell a story, you can tell a story. It doesn't matter whether it's a thriller or a love story or a drama or action or whatever. But personally, I would love to make a love story. But I am currently writing a bunch of thrillers, so probably that's what will happen next. But the love story is also in progress.
Yeah. Top three, like any three films that moved you or impacted you the most.
Pursuit of Happiness. Erin Brockovich, and I think Tetris.
Okay.
And Tetris was it was such an inspiring story of how that film was made. Sorry, I'm giving all English answers. You want Hindi answers?
No, this is not a clickbait. आपके आंसर्स आपके आंसर.
No, I'm just asking generally ना, मतलब
नहीं कोई भी ऐसा. I will watch Tetris. This is mainly for me and then the audience.
And Fight Club. Fight Club was a and Hindi film. I think at a college level, I think one of the films that I fell in love with was Vastav. Yeah. It was I think at the time that it came out and when we saw it, like literally for 1 month after that, I only wore patanis and went to college.
Vastav, I still say Vastav ka influence is still there in 30 to 50-year-old men in Mumbai. वो जो
100%
लिंगो है, वो जो वाइब है, वो जो दादागिरी है, वो स्टिल भी है. There's an actual Hindustani bhau who is just a product of Vastav in my head.
100%.
वो जो पूरा and the end of Vastav is जो लोग भूल जाते हैं, जो लोग सेलिब्रेट नहीं किए जितना 50 तोला सोना और देख माँ सोना ला, वो जो एंड है वास्तव का, that's the seventh circle end.
Beautiful, yeah.
That and वो जो ट्रेजेडी का जो एंड, that film is something like that. It stays in my head forever. कि महेश मांजरेकर सर, संजय दत्त, peak crazy.
तब वो और ही मतलब कमाल करता है. इतने बात देख चुका मैं, याद.
हाँ, अभी भी टीवी पे आता है. I stop it. मेरे को I know the scene. I know what will happen next.
मेरे को सब पता है क्या
होगा. पता है अभी बाजी पाव का वो तवा सर पे आने वाला है, फटाक करके सब पता है. हाँ, सही. हाँ, हिंदी में आप बता रहे थे और वो तो बता दो, मैं नेक्स्ट पेज हूँ.
हिंदी में यार कहानी
का क्लाइमेक्स.
Another film, see, कहानी का, see, I'll tell you, there is a slight bias towards Sujoy.
Obviously, because you आपका वो influence.
But also, the thing is, before I met him, is when I had seen all these films, right? So when I met him only, I met him as like, yeah, the two films that I really loved was Kahani and Jhankar Beats. Like Jhankar Beats is one of my favorite music films, because that music was so good in that film that it just I don't know यार, it just मतलब it still stays with me. Like I've been telling Sujoy कि यार part 2 बनाते ना 20 feet का, देख छोड़ना नहीं कर, हाँ अभी नहीं कर, ठीक, अगर कभी करना होगा तो करेंगे.
Yeah.
And other than that, that I really enjoyed Gangs of Wasseypur. That was also something that I really loved. I thought the world that Anurag sir created was just so interesting, and the humor and the action and Black Friday. Even that was just something else. Yeah, matlab, it's so real and so. See, I mean, you can sense that there's a pattern.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all.
Your next 3 films are also thriller that you are writing. I can sense the pattern.
है वैसा. But my guilty pleasure, I think, is मैं तेरा हीरो.
हाँ. वरुण धवन out and out.
इतना मजा आता है ना.
Out and out.
Comedy इतना entertaining है ना. It's and just that whole film, no, it was just that I don't know. I think that when the time that I watched it, I was just so entertained that I was like,
In that time when Tera Hero released, I guess it was a good mix for a physical and humor comedy. Like dialogues be comedy, but the physical comedy that Rajpal plus Varun Dhawan.
Yeah, and the cast and all of them. They're seeing Rajpal Yadav, with Nargis Fakri, Anupam Kher. I mean, they're all just so entertaining in that.
That's the proper David Dhawan thing. The thing echoes the Saurabh Shukla CT. It's just a proper physical comedy thing.
And I'm a big fan of David Dhawan because I loved all the Asina Man Jayegi, Ek Aur Ek Gyara. You know, that partner series of films was so entertaining. The Sanjay Dutt Govinda combination.
Yeah.
So I was very excited. And also, I think one of the other films that I that I really enjoyed. I thought of the name, and then when I started talking to, I forgot the name. But I think it was shit. पे कभी मैं भूल.
शायद मैंने देखा हो, थोड़ा बोलो.
नहीं, मैं पूरा ही भूल गया. ऐसे मतलब पूरा ब्लैंक हो गया, जैसे मैंने
कोई बात नहीं. वापस आप तब मैं आगे बढ़ता हूँ. मेरा नेक्स्ट था कि आपके टॉप 3 डायरेक्टर्स इन इंडिया, एनी लैंग्वेज, एंड आउट ऑफ इंडिया, एनी लैंग्वेज.
India and international.
India and international.
So India, I would say Sujoy, Raj and DK.
Yes,
I'm a big fan of Raj and DK, like Family Man and Show and City. Yeah, 99 was also a film that I really loved. That was the film I was coming to. 99 was the film I was coming to. 99 was a great film. Kunal Khemu, Sai Kucha, that whole chemistry was so good. And I would say Anurag, because I really like the kind of things that he makes and his approach to filmmaking and you know, all the initial stuff, Punch and Black Friday, TMT. I mean, they were all ugly. I mean, all of them was
really.
I've not seen this new film. I'm dying to see it.
Really shocked me the most. Every else I was expecting that हाँ ऐसा कुछ होगा, but Ugly was like a hit. कि हाँ
Ugly तो कुछ अलग ही. हाँ
अलग ही था. The entire police scene की तेरा नाम क्या है? फिर he says पर असली नाम ये है, पर एक्टर का नाम ऐसा होता है.
Yeah, it was
smartly just, yeah. International.
International. Yeah, David Fincher is first, and I would say Tarantino is second, and Nolan.
Very film student answers कि मैं 3 डायरेक्टर पसंद है.
Yeah, but अभी वो 3 डायरेक्टर
हाँ पसंद है. मैं nothing to deal in it.
Also, you have to understand that for me, also because Fight Club is one of my favorite international films. I'm a big fan of David Fincher, and I've also tried to pay tribute to all these people in my film. Like one of the characters.
मैंने yes, Tarantino की स्टोरी देखी.
Amy Dunn. So it's all, you know, it's all there neatly in that. So yeah, I think those 3 are like Mindhunter was one of my favorite shows.
I was about to say, आपने जो बोला था कि डेविड फिंचर का और आपने बोला नेक्स्ट थ्रिलर, तो मैं बोला वाला था कि ट्राई करो आप माइंडहंटर का इंडिया में इंडियनाइज्ड वर्जन.
तो मैं अभी एक ओरिजिनल बनाऊंगा, उसके बाद फिर
मेरा काम है बस ओपिनियन देना और ऐसे ही बातें करना, ख्याल ही बुलाओ.
No, I think Mindhunter is
one of the best.
But see, then you have to find that, like, I would trust an Anurag to make Mindhunter in India. Yeah. वो it's fully up his alley. मतलब उसका कर लेगा वो.
और किल भी होगा, वो क्रेजी किल होगा.
Ah.
Yeah. One show that everyone is celebrated the most, but you don't connect to. One short slash movie कुछ भी जो बहुत सेलिब्रेट हुआ है पर आप उससे कनेक्ट उतना नहीं करते.
कभी खुशी कभी गम.
कोई रीजन है
I
इसका?
think, I mean, again, see, the thing is, I feel like, I mean, it's an iconic film. I mean, everybody has loved it. It's just, I'm not big on family dramas and the whole grandeur of thing. I mean, it's an exceptional film. I mean, he's made it really well, and it's still talked about today. But it's just not my kind.
Your cup of tea. I see. Got it.
Yeah.
And one show that everyone didn't celebrate or kind of an underrated genre, but you liked it the most. One show slash movie.
Hindi you want to?
Any. जो भी है.
I think English. Recently, the show that I saw was The Bear on.
It is celebrated. It is kind of trending everywhere in film clubs.
वो तो अभी season 2 आया इसके लिए ना.
अच्छा, आप सीजन 1 से देख रहे हो?
हाँ, because season 1 to me, just from a filmmaking point of view, that it's like a masterpiece. Like just the way they've created that world, that energy, the whole approach to it, the way it's shot. I mean, it's such a stressful thing to watch because उसका stress हम लोग पे आ जाता है ना देखते देखते कि वो एक I think the 7th episode in the first season is the 28-minute episode is one shot. And there is so much happening in that. Like I was just like, यार कट क्यों नहीं कर क्या हो रहा है कैसे कर रहे हैं लोग. So I mean that was something that, I mean, at least when I saw it, I didn't know anybody, like only 1 or 2 people were talking about it, and somebody recommended it to me. I'm like, why are more people not talking about this? Because this is it's just such a well-made show, and it's such a great performance by that guy. मतलब वो last like in the final episode, even that scene of closure, he's got some 15-minute long monologue. It's like कि director ने camera रख के घर चला गया, बोला भाई तू कर ले अपना. वो camera हिलता नहीं है, बस उसके सामने रखा और वो acting कर. And I was just like, shit, that's something. I mean, I would love to be able to create something like that.
Yeah. उससे love to create something like से याद आया. One movie or a show जो already out है, you think you feel you want to be, you should have been part of it, or you would have been a part of it in past.
Fight Club. मतलब I would have been happy to just be a extra or a intern or just a light stand also. यार मेरे को मतलब उधर बस खड़े रहकर देखना था ये लोग क्या बनाया कैसे बनाया. Because I've seen so much of the behind the scenes, the making of, and it's just like it would have been so much. Like I would have, in another life, I would have loved to have been a part of that film in any way possible. Or in India,
Vastav. So is
just to see how they created
proper storytelling, conflict resolution. 3-4 layer पे जाता है.
Very well structured, very well performed. I mean, it's just.
I could discuss one entire extra episode on just Vastav. Each character. हाँ बाद में करेंगे. हमारा last है. People who are learning films or into filmmaking right now, who are figuring out their career in films, top 5 recommendations for them to watch to improve their work, to learn something in filmmaking.
I will try and give you all 5 Indian recommendations.
Anything.
Just because I think
itself.
No, I just feel like. No, I know, but I just feel like because we've also created some really good content here. मैं हर चीज में हॉलीवुड बोल रहा हूँ, but हम लोग ने यहाँ पे भी इतना अच्छा content create किया है, तो why not? I'm saying, like for me, like I think Family Man was really well done. Rocket Boys season 2 I haven't seen, but season 1 I thought was outstanding. I have to still watch it. Farzi also I really enjoyed. I thought that was also very, very well. The other 2, I think one was Delhi Crime, which I think again we have surpassed expectations with that. I when I saw it, I didn't know what to expect. I mean, the trailer looked really intriguing, but when I saw the season 1, I was blown away by how they created. And Jamtara. Jamtara is one of my top Indian shows. I think even that is just filmmaking at its finest. And Hollywood is my
Minded. Yeah. Great. This I would end the conversation, and Yeah, if you have any future projects that you want to share, like आपका future planning in terms of.
Sir, because I have not signed any papers, I can't
Okay, got it.
share anything. नहीं तो मैं फंस जाऊंगा, पेपर शायद साइन नहीं हो जाए.
कोई नहीं. चलो. Thank you so much.
When I do, we will talk about it.
For sure. I'll connect with you again.
Done.
I like to discuss all the films that we shared and recommended, to discuss each of them in a different way. Fight Club is in one episode, Vastav is one episode. The 5 series, you said at least. Rajan DK, you said 3 things, Fuzzy, Family Man and all. So, वो एक अलग universe है. But yeah, thank you so much for your time. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
It was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
As you are here for the first time, let me introduce you to Wall. Wall is a platform that will change how you interact with entertainment. It helps you in content discovery and assists you in finding where to watch your favorite content from the cinema. It is a social network for cinema enthusiasts, helping you build your cinema community and your personal cinema diary. Recommend movies, make collections, and follow your favorite individuals to get new suggestions. Wall attracts thousands of film critics, reviewers, and consumers, and it provides a smarter way to consume your content. Download Wall now with this link. The link is also shared in the description. And let us know your experience.